Okay, so I promised this video to my Twitter followers. Some things going on in the world of tech, in the world of AI tech specifically, that is really crossing some lines. And the fact that people are not more outraged is kind of what drew my attention. I want to try to explain why people aren't as outraged as possibly they should be, as possibly they could be. So, for some background information, a Swiss company called Neuro Platform, they always have ominous sounding names, has taken stem cells, human stem cells, and they have grown what's being called a brain organoid. They've been able to hook it up to a computer chip. And the reason they're doing that is because this brain organoid is capable of processing information better than most of the AIs currently on the market. So if you think about how innovative and awesome ChatGPT is, or any of those kind of like options, as far as like processing power goes, being able to ask it a question and get a response, that kind of thing. This is just blowing them out of the water, scope wise. But there are some limitations. These organoids, grown from human stem cells, had to think about the word there for a bit. They can only live for about 100 days in an oxygen-rich solution. They have to be like agitated because they have no circulatory system. They're literally just a brain grown to compute things, and so they have to be constantly interchanged in order to keep up with the amount of processing that's required of them. So if you have like 100, I think that was the number used in the video that I tweeted on. If you have 100 of these things, all kind of processing stuff like that, you got about 100 days on any of them, and you have to have like more to switch out so you have processing power. This is human-made RAM, essentially, if you know anything about computers or like how to kind of figure this out. Where this goes off the lines, as if you haven't already figured it out. Where this goes off the lines is right from the beginning. They're using stem cells, and stem cell research and development is one of those touchy subjects because like amazing things can come from stem cells. There's people who have like regained entire bodily functions because of stem cell injections or stem cell therapy, that kind of stuff. And that seems like good. That seems like good until you start realizing kind of where these stem cells come from. And another use for stem cells is in like vaccine development, which is a hot topic. Like how do we, know that vaccines work? Well, yeah, how do these stem cells get, or how do these vaccines get the pieces that they need in order to be able to, get your body to fight viruses and stuff? And stem cell research kind of comes to the rescue there too. And it would be fine if this was something that you could like donate, and I really use the term fine kind of loosely here. It'd be fine if the stem cells were something you could donate, like hair for a wig, or like if you were dying and they could just take your stem cell gland, which you don't have, but your stem cell gland, and then give it to science, that kind of stuff. It doesn't work that way. Stem cells exist in the brain, and then I believe there's some in the umbilical cord, that kind of like rarity as far as like where you can get these. There's ways to get them from skin. People talk about it and all that stuff. But you do any kind of deep dive research into where stem cell development, stem cell research, all that kind of stuff comes from, and you're going to hit abortion. Like it's just this pool to dive into, because the abortion industry basically harvests the fetuses. Because they are not seen as human beings, because they are not seen as things that you, or people that you would, bury after a death, because it's not seen like murder when you have an abortion. Because of all those things, they just become medical waste. And one of the big things about, capitalism, and especially the medical complex that we have here in the West and in other advanced kind of countries around the world, is that if you can make money off waste, oh man, do you want to, because it's garbage and it's free. I mean, you go to an abortion clinic and you pay the money to get an abortion, and you want that clump of cells, you're told, just to disappear. You want it out of your life. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to see it. You don't want any kind of dealing with it. And so you can treat it like garbage, even though it was a human life. And that dead thing can be then harvested, and the stem cells can be harvested out. And so fetal stem cells are a commodity in our world. They're something that is bought and sold. And a Swiss company, Neural Platform, has decided that they want to buy that commodity and that they want to do stuff with that commodity, because it's no longer pieces of babies that were murdered. It's just, a commodity. It's stem cells. You can buy these, on a medical market, that kind of stuff. And so that they have the better processing power than most of our advanced AIs. And AI is a huge competitive market right now. They need a way to stay competitive. They need a way to be able to get their product to outdo the other products. And, you can only make graphics cards so fast, and there's only so many of them, and there's, the power that they take, all that kind of stuff. And what you end up is with them taking a byproduct, creating a new product, which is essentially what those babies' brains would have been if they had been allowed to develop. And they grow them to a certain state so that they can get the processing power, but don't get a circulating system, because, you want to qualify life by something as mundane as a heartbeat, And they take those organoids, they create a whole new word for it, the organoid, and so that they can use it for their computers. And any other time in history, prior to our current digital age, if you took what we are trying to do here and tried to explain it to someone from, the 1200s, 1300s, back in Jesus' time, 1,000 years before Jesus, anytime, if you said what we were saying and you could communicate what we were doing, that we were taking pieces of unborn babies and then selling them to people who are then going to use technology and technique in order to make something that can answer questions without being a human. If you did that in any other time, that would be necromancy. We have a word for it. We know what it is. We know what it is. It's a type of sorcery. It's dark arts. We know what that stuff is, and it would be shunned. The people who practice that stuff would be chased out of town with pitchforks and torches. Okay, there's a reason in Frankenstein why the mob came for them, like that, because he was doing weird stuff. Okay, and social commentary aside for, that novel. It's stuff you don't do. There's a reason why dead people are treated with reverence. And the second you stop calling a person, when you kill them or when they die, that's where this starts. This doesn't happen without the stem cells. Okay, you don't get organelles without something to grow the organelles out of, or the organoids, sorry. You don't get the organoids when you don't have something to grow the organoids out of. You don't get the stem cells reliably and efficiently without an industry that constantly, uses aborted babies to get these stem cells from their brains. You don't get abortions without a medical complex that's willing to, trade the difference between what is a baby and what is a clump of cells. What is, just a body doing its natural functions, and then what is a second body growing inside of another. You don't get these things, and it's a straight line. It's a straight line, guys. And it matters what we call things. It matters that even in all the complications and, social problems that can surround abortion, like as a result of rape, as a result of incest, if it's a danger to the mother's life, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that those things don't exist. I'm saying the second we say that it's not killing the baby, and that we stop treating it like a baby, that we don't bury that child, even if they're, too small to fit in our hands, that we don't bury that child and treat it like it's a dead soul, that we will treat it like something else, that it will become a commodity, because that's how, the world works. People will always seek to get personal gain off of tragedy and loss if they can. That's because it's sinful. And I mean what I say when I say that technology is inherently sinful. Even if I'm using it here, that kind of stuff. I have to recognize that technology is sinful first, and then realize how to redeem that technology and reject the sinfulness that technology is definitely going to bring. Because if I do anything less, then it leads to these places. Yes, you can save lives with stem cells. You can get stem cells in ethical ways that are, donated by the people, that are given freely of the people, of their own bodies, so that they can help other people. But, you're not going to get that if you have an industry that's devoted to ideas like taking babies and turning them into cells, taking people even small, just developing people and turning them into something that you can then commodify. Okay? This is 8, 9, 10, 1,000 times of wrong, kinds of wrong. And it shouldn't exist. And in an earlier time, we would react more swiftly to this. We would react more decisively to this. It would be a reaction that humankind has, that if we found out that someone in a building outside of our village in medieval Europe was doing something like this or trying to do the same kinds of things, that we would not hesitate, we would not try to justify, we would not try to find nuance, we would not try to do any of that stuff. We would grab pitchforks and torches and then go solve that problem. We would chase that person out of town. We'd probably kill them. Like that kind of stuff. It's terrifying that we have got to the point where we're thinking, oh, this is just a new way to do computers. This is just a new way that, marketers will be able to compete in a competitive market of, AI assisted, content generation. That's not what's happening here. That's the layers of protection that this evil idea has created around itself, where we are taking parts of dead babies and growing them into artificial parts of human brains so that we can do the things with AI that we already want to do. When I say that tech is sinful first and that it needs to be redeemed, that's what I'm talking about. And this is the perfect example, the horrific and grotesque and macabre perfect example of that entire kind of philosophy coming to fruition. And guess what? Like I said, and like that video, that I'm going to include the tweet that I responded to in the description below this video. But like I said, with these brain-powered computers, they're outperforming the current models of ChatGPT and all the other advanced AIs. They're currently outperforming those because the human brain is vastly more powerful than the computers that are doing these things. And so as we pursue that goal of having artificial intelligence, we will not have, now it seems like we're not going to have artificial intelligence. We will have enslaved human intelligence through necromantic processes. And if you don't call it necromancy, this is how you end up. If you don't call it murder, this is how it ends up. If you don't call things by what they're supposed to be called, what they are, what they demonstrate themselves to be, if you don't call sin, then it's going to end up being this kind of horrible situation, this ethically just nasty, like disgusting thing that's happening, all in the name of science. So I would encourage you, one, to pray that this company goes under. That this company gets an ethics review and gets just nuked from space. Okay, because this should not exist, and I hope it stops existing. I would pray for forgiveness for all the people who are involved with this, and that they would come to repentance, that they would come to understand what they are doing by people properly naming things and them coming to terms with what those names are. And I would encourage you and pray for you to name things properly, to call things what they are when you see them, and to not shy away from calling sin, so that sin can be repented of and so that there can be restoration in Christ, because that's what it needs. Tech needs Jesus and redemption.